When you're factoring a sum and difference of cubes, you're looking for this pattern here. You're looking for, if it's a sum, you're looking for an addition sign with a cube on this side and a cube on this side. And if it's a difference of two cubes, you're looking for a subtraction, which is what difference means, with cubes on both sides. Now, when we talk about cubes, let's talk about what we mean by that. So a cube is a number that's multiplied by itself 3 times. Like 8 is a cube because that's 2 times 2 times 2. 64 is a cube because it's 4 times 4 times 4. X cubed is a cube because it's x times x times x. You can even have numbers and letters. For example, 125 a cubed. That's a perfect cube because it's 5a times 5a times 5a, because 5 times 5 times 5 is 125, and a times a times a is a to the third. So again, to be a perfect cube, you need the exact same thing 3 times. Once you see you have that pattern, now it's time to factor, and here's your formula. You're going to have 2 parentheses, one's a short and one is a long. And you're going to ask yourself, look at your problem and ask yourself, what do I cube to get this right here? Which in this case is A. And you're going to put it right there in the short parenthesis. Then you're going to ask yourself, what do I cube to get this right here? And in our case, it's B. B times B times B. So I'm going to put that right here. Now, the signs are really important when you're factoring these. Whatever sign the problem has initially, that's the sign that goes in the short parenthesis. And then the rule takes over and it goes plus, minus, plus. It has to be that way. If there's a positive, it's got to be plus, minus, plus. Now we need to fill in these spaces right here. You're going to do that by square, multiply, square. So go to your short parenthesis and look at this number right here. And you're going to square that. So if I square A, I get A squared. Then you're going to go back to your short parenthesis and you're going to multiply those two together. A times B is AB. Then you're going to go back to your short and you're going to square that. So B squared is B squared. And that's your formula. So let's look at the difference. The good thing is it's the same exact formula. The only thing that's different is the signs. So we said we need a short and we need a long. So you have your short and your long. And you're going to ask yourself, what do I cube to get that first term right there? And it's an A in our case, A times A times A. And then you're going to look to see, what do I cube to get this? And in our case, it's B. B times B times B. Whatever sign is here, that's the sign that you put in the short. And then that determines the signs for the rest of the problem. This time it's going to be minus, plus, plus. And again, by definition, if there's a subtraction in the original, it's got to go minus, plus, plus. Then use the same pattern as above. To fill in these spaces, we're going to square, multiply, and square. So go to your short parentheses, look at the first person. So if I square that, I'm going to get A squared. Go to your short parentheses, multiply the two together, A times B, and you're going to get AB. Go back to your short parentheses and look at that term right there and square it, and B squared is B squared. All right, now let's practice with some actual problems. I think once you see a few examples, you're going to see that it's not as difficult as you might have thought. So let's take a look at the first one. Let's see if it fits our pattern, and it does, because this right here is x times x times x. It's a cube. And 27 is 3 times 3 times 3. So it's a cube. So let's do the short. Let's do the long. Okay, let's ask ourselves, what do we cube to get this first term right here? And we saw that it was x times x times x. So put it here. All right, what do we cube to get the second term? And we can see that that was 3 times 3 times 3. Then whatever sign is here, that's the sign that goes here. Since it's a plus, the pattern is plus, minus, plus. And again, we said that's determined by the original problem. If there's a plus there, it's going to go plus, minus, plus. Now, let's fill in our spaces with square, multiply, and square. Go back to the short parenthesis, square that, and you have x squared. Multiply the two together, x times 3, or 3 times x, is 3x. And then you're going to square the last. 3 squared is 9. And you're done. Happy answer. Okay, let's take a look at the second one. Let's see if it fits the pattern. And it does, because we have y times y times y. And here we have 5 times 5 times 5. Now, if you're not sure that 125 is 5 cubed, 5 times 5 times 5, I'd say go to your calculator and kind of play around with numbers just to see, like 4 times 4 times 4, 3 times 3 times 3, 6 times 6 times 6. Or you can also use your cube root button. Some calculators, it will look like that. On the 84s, use your Math 4 option, and it'll say cube root. Just put your 125 in there, and it'll give you the 5. All right, so it fits our pattern. So let's short, long. In the short, we're going to ask ourselves, what do we get to that? And it'll be a y. In the long, that's a 5. Whatever sign is here, that's the sign that goes here. So it's minus. Then the rule says minus, plus, plus. So whatever is here goes here, and then again, with a subtraction, always the minus, plus, plus. All right, let's fill in our spaces with square, multiply, and square. So go back to the short and look at the first person. And we're going to square that. So if you square y, you get y squared. Go back to your short, multiply the two together. 5 times y is going to be 5y. And then you're going to square the last. And if I square 5, I get 25. And you're done. All right, let's take a look at example 3. Let's make sure it fits our pattern. And we can see that 8a is going to be 2a times 2a times 2a. And then 1 is 1 times 1 times 1. So we have perfect cubes. So let's short, long. Ask yourself, what did we cube to get this? Which is a 2 and an a. What do we cube to get this? Which is a 1. Whatever sign is here, that's the sign that you put in the short. And then the rule says plus, minus, plus. And again, that's determined because there was a plus sign in the original. It will always have to be plus, minus, plus, or minus, plus, plus. All right, fill in your spaces. Square, multiply, and square. So go back to your short, square this. You're going to square the 2 and the a. So if you square 2, you get 4. If you square a, you get a squared. All right, multiply the 2 together. 2a times 1 is 2a. And then you're going to square the last. Square 1, and you get 1. All right, let's take a look at example 4. Now, these numbers, especially the 512, that might be one that you need to use your calculator for. So go to your calculator and take the cube root of 512, and it's going to tell you that that's 8. So this right here is 8x times 8x times 8x. Now this one you might be more familiar with. 27 is just 3 times 3 times 3. And of course, don't forget your variable. So let's short and long. Now if you want to, maybe pause the video, try it on your own to see how you do, and then start the video back to check your work. So in the first spot, it's whatever we cubed to get that, which was 8x. In the second spot, whatever we cubed to get that is 3y. We know the sign is going to be a subtraction because that's a subtraction. Then the rule says minus plus plus, and that's determined by formula. And now fill in your spaces of square, multiply, square. Go to your short, square that. We're going to square the 8 and the x. 8 squared is 64, x squared of course. Multiply the two together. 8 times 3 times x times y. So that's going to give us 24xy. And then we're going to square the last. Square your 3, square your y, and you get 9y squared. And you're done. All right, let's take a look at example 5. Again, these numbers might be large, so you might need to go to your calculator because these might not be ones that you're comfortable with. So go to your calculator. Math 4 will allow you to cube root those. Some calculators might have just a cube root button. All right, so here you found out that that's 6xy, 6xy, 6xy. Here, when you went to the calculator, it's 7z, 7z, and 7z. All right, pause the video, try it on your own, and see how you do. Come back and check with me. So in the first spot, it's whatever do we cube to get this, which is 6xy. Whatever do we cube to get this, which is 7z, and that goes in the second spot in the short parentheses. Whatever sign is here, that's the sign that goes in the short. Then your long parentheses, it has to go minus plus plus. And again, that's just your rules. Minus plus plus if your original problem is a difference. All right, now fill in your spaces. Square, multiply, and square. So go to your short parentheses and you're going to square that entire term. You're going to square the 6, the x, and the y. So 6 squared is 36, x squared, y squared. Multiply the two together. So I'm going to say 6 times 7 is 42. And if I multiply x times y times z, that's what you get, x, y, z. And then I'm going to square the last one. So if I square the 7, I get 49. If I square the z, I get z squared. And you're done. All right, let's take a look at these last two. They're very, very similar, except there's just a small twist. When I look at this number 6, I can see that it doesn't fit my pattern of having a perfect cube. It's not something times something times something. But if I look closely, I might see that there's a greatest common factor. So let's take out a greatest common factor. And I can see that there is a 2 in both of those. So 2 goes into 16 8 times, plus 2 goes into 54 27 times. And then the m to the third, well, we didn't touch that. So bring it down. Make sure that you bring your 2 over because it's very much a part of your solution. Then short and long. All right, in the short, you're going to come over here and you're going to ask yourself, what did I cube to get 8? Well, that's 2 times 2 times 2. So I'm going to put a 2 there. And then I'm going to look right here and say, what did I cube to get 27m cubed? And that's 3 times 3 times 3 and m times m times m. So 3m times 3m times 3m. That's what goes there. You know the sign. You know the sign has to be a plus because that's the sign in the original problem. So the short is a plus, and then it goes plus, minus, plus. They alternate on the plus, minus, plus. So my sign, because that's a positive, is going to be plus, minus, plus. All right, fill in your spaces with square, multiply, square. Then go to your short parentheses. Once you pause that video and see if you can finish it out, square your 2 and you get 4. Multiply the 2 together and get 6m. Then square the last one, and 3 squared is 9, and m squared is m squared. Okay, last one. Let's take a look at this last one. Notice that it does not fit the pattern as is, but take out your greatest common factor. So let's get out the GCF and then see if it doesn't fit the pattern. Again, if you want to try, pause the video and check to see. Just get out that greatest common factor first. All right, you should have seen that there is a 5 that goes into both of those numbers. And on letters, they both have a C. So I can take out a C to the first. That's all they have in common is just that single C. So 5 divided by 5 is 1, so that's like a wash. C to the 4th, take out one of them, leaves you with 3 of them. Minus 5 goes into 320, 64 times. You have a C, but you canceled that C. And then bring down the D to the 3rd because we didn't touch that. Now it fits the pattern. So bring your 5C over because it is part of my solution. Short, long. So in the short, you're going to come over here and you're going to see what did I cube to get this, which is C times C times C. So put it there. Over here, you're going to see what did I cube to get 64, which is 4 times 4 times 4, and D times D times D. So that's 4D, 4D, 4D. Whatever sign is here, that's the sign that goes in the short parenthesis. Then it's going to be minus, plus, plus. And again, that's your rule for subtraction is minus, plus, plus. All right, fill in your spaces. Square, multiply, square. So I'm going to come to the short, square that C, C squared. Multiply the 2 together. C times 4D is 4CD, so that's 4CD. And then I'm going to square the last one. And so square the 4 and square the D, and you get 16D squared. All right. If you need more help or practice, you can watch my teaching video on this topic of factoring the sum and difference of 2 cubes. Again, if this video was helpful, please like and subscribe to the channel and even share the information with a friend. See you next time.